I'll cut it out if we have to or whatever. But so fucking Spooky Dust podcast.
We're back.
We're back again.
We did stuff.
You thought we would go away. You need to take way more penicillin, buddy.
That one negative comment on or negative star on iTunes isn't pushing us anywhere.
I was gonna say somebody put a negative comment in.
It wasn't a comment. I don't actually.
Ooh.
I looked at it that one day, but I don't think it was a comment. I don't know what the fuck.
It better not be a comment. We're gonna fuck that ass up.
We got a negative star or something. I don't know how that works. Internet.
Suck my dick, motherfucker. Excuse me.
Yes. We got a couple more positives.
Fuck yeah. See, we don't suck. So I want to tell you earlier, I messaged Pondo and he said that I asked him if he was available to do the test just to make sure all the gear works. And he said, "Hey, I'm driving to West Virginia right now." And he sent me audio. I'd play it, but I don't want to give him a hard time or anything.
So I mean, yeah. So
he sent me audio on Facebook, and he was just like, "Oh, hold on a second. He's messaging right now." But basically, we did the test while he was driving. He broke out the phone, and he's like,
so yeah. So whoever's listening to this or seeing this hasn't figured it out. We're waiting for Man Pondo. And
thank you.
Yeah, as you just like went on to like I just messaged Pondo.
Sorry. Yeah, Pondo's running a little bit behind, but he just messaged. He's coming on right now. But yeah, he fucking did the sound audio test while he was fucking driving.
So in preparation for this, I watched a couple other interviews, mostly just like I don't want to ask the same questions. I don't want to spend a lot of time on shit that like he's talked about a million other times, right?
Okay.
And I watched one that was really done really well, and he was in his fucking car for the whole 2 hours.
Pondo's a beast.
Yeah, dude.
Doing his thing, man. So you know what? He's here. So I'm going to bring him on.
Oh, man. I want to give him a proper introduction.
The one and only Madman motherfucking Pondo.
What's up, guys?
Sir, I'm David. That's Francis. I just have to say thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to do this with us. This is huge.
Oh, no, man. Without shit like this, I don't live on. I want to live on even after I pass away.
I mean, I was just telling Francis about earlier how you were driving and you did the test with me while you're like, basically on the road, on freeway. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Business.
He gets it done. I mean, we're talking to a man that beat someone with a Little Caesars breadstick at some point.
I did do that. do
that. Pondo, again, we did a little bit of research and everything, and earlier, I'm just taking notes and getting everything set up, and Francis is like, "Hey, I want you to see this," and he sent me a video of you with the pencil incident.
Oh yeah.
So I saw that for the first time.
Worst idea I ever had. I was at CZW, one of the Tournament of Deaths, and at CZW, if you don't do something to be remembered, you're just fucking forgot about. Well, that particular Tournament of Death, they remember three things. They remember that I got thrown on pencils. They remember that Nick Gage got caught on fire, and they remember that Necro Butcher won the whole thing. But those pencils, so I'm sitting back and it just looks like a fucking war zone back there. Like fans have brought weapons and it's just covered all through the back area. So I'm watching to see everybody else, what they're grabbing and all that. And Brain Damage and Necro Butcher was going over their match. And Necro looked over at this bed of pencils, and he said, "Oh, we're not fucking with that." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's it." That's because Necro is probably one of the bravest deathmatch guys that I ever met in my life.
Big time.
So the minute he said he was using that pencil board, I'm like, "Oh, this is it. This is what I can do to be remembered right here." And
Oh, well, looks like we might be having a phone connection problem.
Never done it, but
Oh,
Hey, Pondo, hang on 1 second, all right? Looks like we had a glitch out.
is it whose end is it on?
It's on his.
Okay,
Hold on a second.
Pondo.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, it looks like we lost him. Hold on a minute. I just messaged him on Facebook, so he might have to pop back on.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable as far as that whole spot. Like,
well, that was like, so it's crazy that was like the first time you ever saw that.
Yeah, I mean, well, dude, he's got his catalog of stuff is so deep.
Well, that's what, like, when he gets back on, like, I want to, like, give him, like, the full, like, intro, right? Because this dude is, like, is so much more than just that fucking pencil spot, you know? Like, he, like I mentioned when he came on, like, he beat someone with a Little Caesar's breadstick.
Hey, hold up. Here we go. Hey, Pondo.
So sorry, guys. So sorry.
Don't sweat it, dude. Technical problems. But we were just kind of talking more about what we saw. When I saw the clip, you were cutting a promo, and somebody was pulling the fucking the graphite out of you, and you kind of shook them off. You kind of like
CZW had their own little medical center in the back, and I was highly against going to the hospital, especially for something to get pulled out of my ass. So I just let the CZW people do it, and you saw the video. They pulled a pretty big chunk out of there, and I still have a whole bunch of lead spots on my shoulder blade back here. Somebody, I think the clip that you put, or somebody put on there, they had to be rubber tipped. Oh my God, I wish they were rubber tipped. Fuck no, they weren't rubber tipped.
The camera got really close on it, and you can see right up to where, you know, the pencil is like orange. There is a decent fucking amount of blood. So it ain't no rubber tip. That was fucking ruthless. Yeah. And
it was such a good idea until I got done, and then I was like, I'm so stupid.
But yeah, no, like what I was just telling Dave, like that was the first time he saw the clip, right? But Pondo is so much more than just fucking pencil spot, right? 32 years of wrestling. Let me know if I get any of this wrong, sir.
All right.
For Japan 43 times.
43.
You've wrestled in over 50 deathmatch tournaments.
15 or 50?
50.
No, hell no. I don't even think there's been 50 deathmatch tournaments.
Well, you've been in King of the IWA Mid-South King of the Death matches 9 times.
Yeah.
Double tag team tournament 2 times.
Tournament 9, 10, 11. All right,
Tournament of Death 3 times.
11, 12, 13, 14.
IWA East Coast Masters of Pain 6 times.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Carnage Cup. Chaos Cup.
20, 21, 22.
Hold on, I have the full list. Actually, those are some ones that I just pulled to the side, but I do. Have
but 22. Holy fuck! And those aren't like the light versions of tournaments. I mean, those are. I mean, it's surviving is one thing, you know what I mean. But I mean, to be reappearing over and over in that kind of stuff. I mean, that you're a journeyman, you know.
3 fucking
still
video
going,
games,
guys. Still going. I can't stay away from it. I don't know what. I got something wrong with my brain, you know. I mean, a lot of the guys who was doing it back in the day when we was doing it hard are not doing it anymore. Necro just came back. Freak Show, Insane Lane. Trying to think. Yeah, I think we're the 4.
I mean, Hunter S. Thompson, too weird to live, too rare to die. I mean, that is absolutely you. Just there's never going to be another Madman Pondo.
Well, I hope not. God forbid. But this is my deal, guys. Like, I have a book wrote about me, another one coming out. I did as much stupid shit to where people would talk about me. I did a movie with Robert Englund. Fucking, I did a speech in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, right there where Forrest Gump was running in the water yelling Jenny's name. I just keep doing things that way. When I pass away, I don't want to be forgotten. I want people to keep talking about me even after those days. So stopping death matches is not an option for me. I'll stop doing death matches when they stop doing me.
Well, that's something. So I want to show you. I'm going to switch my light here for a second. And this is very significant, right? So I have your book, right? I don't read a lot of books, right?
No.
This is probably the 10th book I've ever fully read. And I picked it up.
He ripped through that motherfucker this week, too, like fast as hell.
And you can see I went out and I bought little things to bookmark just shit I wanted to talk about. And then there's one little red one right back here that I want to get to at the very end.
All right.
Just that it was awesome. But yeah, like I said, like I don't read a lot of books, right? But I picked this up.
Did you laugh out loud at a lot of those stories?
So at a lot of the stuff, I found myself, because I read it at night, I found myself like closing it at some points and just being like, what the fuck? Like, I did laugh about the Chris Jericho thing. Like, so early on, I was like, oh, that's an interesting quote, right? Right. Man Pondo's favorite deathmatch wrestler. It wasn't to the end of the book where he explained how that happened, and I died laughing. You gotta.
Let me do this while we're talking about it. If anybody out there watching this podcast wants to get a copy of my book, you can go to Amazon.com or you can go to EatSleepWrestle.com and talk to John Cosper about getting an autographed copy. And if you bring that book to one of my death matches, I will give it the Madman Pondo bloody thumbprint on the first page. So keep that in mind if I'm ever in your area.
You will be in my area, and I will be bringing it. So
I figure someday when I'm not around, somebody can remake me, and then I can chase children in a park like that dinosaur in Jurassic. So yeah, I've been giving my DNA to all those books.
You're going to be in Detroit. You're going to be in Detroit next week, and I was going to ask you if you could sign my book. So I
will. I totally will. I'm there the 17th and 18th for the Murder City Cup tournament.
Deathmatch Cup with Horror Slam.
Yeah, with Horror Slam. Yeah.
Fran, really quick, can I ask him about that from earlier?
Go for it.
Sure.
I was talking to Briar Wellington earlier today.
Yeah.
I told him that you're coming on later tonight, and he said, make sure that you ask him about Marilyn Manson. And I brought it up to Francis. He said he knows about it, but I don't know about it. So that's from Briar. He told me to ask you.
So this whole thing that I'm getting ready to talk about with Marilyn Manson is on YouTube. The whole thing got filmed. So at that time, I was working for Billy Corgan at Resistance Pro, and he headlined a tour that had Marilyn Manson on it. So me and Billy I've seen him I don't know how many times. So he wasn't the special one, but I asked him, could he get me to his concert to where I could meet Marilyn Manson? And he said he'll see what he can do. So sure enough, he got us there, and he said, make sure he told his road manager, make sure you give them green bracelets so they can get backstage after the show. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He wants to see us after this. So we're sitting at a table with with Billy Corgan, and Marilyn Manson comes in. and he's got a bottle of Vicks that he is shuffling around in his hands, and it was totally planned out. Like, Billy didn't want to tell us it was planned out, but Marilyn Manson comes over to the table and he says, Billy, I really want to do a violent challenge with one of these guys, but I don't know which one. And Billy goes, well, there's your violent one right there. And he starts pointing at me. Come on, guys, you're not winning no fucking Oscars in this book, you know? So he sits down and he starts explaining to me how he wants to do a challenge that we put Vicks Vapor Rub in our tear ducts, and the first one that cries tears down our cheek is the loser, right? So while we're doing that, Twiggy Ramirez comes in, and a couple of people tried to sit in the chair next to me, but Billy kept saying, that's he's taken. I didn't know who was coming. So I am literally sitting at a table, rubbing elbows because it was so tight and they were so close to me, with Marilyn Manson and Twiggy Ramirez with Vicks Vapor Rub in my tear ducts. Now, if you want to know what I felt, and I'm not, I can't read what is Francis. If you want to know what I felt, take the lid off of that Vicks Vapor Rub. Don't put it in your tear duct. Take your glasses off and just put it near your eye and tell me that don't fuck with you, right? Now, imagine a whole gob in both tear ducts, right? But I told myself there's no way a guy who wears a dress on stage is going to beat me. So we put that shit in our tear ducts, and I win, right? And so I'm thinking, all right, finally I get to take this shit out of my eyes. Marilyn Manson talks for another 10 minutes before he gets that shit out of his eyes, and I'm dying. I'm like, I'm not taking that out of my eyes until he gets it out of his. If he would have said something like, let's cut each other with barbed wire, I would have been there all day. But that, just like Francis can tell you right now, that fucking Vicks
it doesn't
your
stop.
eye is
So
shit.
I read that in the book. I found the clip online, and I was like, I think it'd be fucking hilarious if I, tried it with Pondo. But I grabbed it early on, and I was like, yo, fuck this. And then it doesn't stop. It like
that's one I wouldn't recommend. Don't try that one at home. Don't try it nowhere. That fucking sucks. That sucks. That's bad.
Wow.
It doesn't stop. It like it's just from like the vapors. It's like
right.
It's like,
and not only that, like it was
my eyeballs.
It was a hot night that night, and not that I sweat to the sides, but somehow the sweat from the Vicks Vapor Rub was getting over into my eyes, and I was like, I've got to get this shit out of my eyes, but I didn't do it.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah, I was like, oh, it'd be kind of dope, do it for Pondo, and then I was like, fuck this. Sorry, Pondo.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It just doesn't stop. It just
right.
But no, man, like your book, dude. Like there was just so many great. Like I bookmarked so many things that I was like, it's not possible to cover everything, right? And I was just like, dude, the stories, right? Like the Kane thing, meeting Cactus Jack.
Yeah.
Your first time in Japan.
Yeah.
God. It's just so many fucking awesome things. Like, I don't even know where to begin. There was something I did hear on another podcast that I want to hear more about. You have your own beer in Japan?
I do. Well, not anymore. I mean, that was back in 2001 or 2, but they made beer for some of the CZW guys. Like my beer was called MMP. Nick Gage's beer was called the Frog Splash. Johnny Cashmere and Trent Acid's beer was called the Heart Throbs. Zandig had a beer. I don't remember what it was called. It was probably just called Zandig. I don't remember, but yeah. But them guys, none of them guys have a bottle of their own beer. But I kept some, I still have mine. So Yeah, I did.
Souvenir.
Yeah, of course. I tried one though. Oh my God. If you put a bucket under a goat for a month, that's exactly what it tastes like. Holy shit.
Strong?
So bad. Yeah.
Was it strong?
Real strong. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
But see, I don't drink beer at all. I don't drink beer at all. So, you know, I think there was a couple of goat pubes in that bottle that I drank. It was pretty bad. It was bad shit.
Fucking goat pubes.
Oh, man. So go ahead, Dave.
Oh, well, and I was going to say, so the other clip that Francis sent me when we were kind of going over things, you know, I've seen you so many times at JCW events, and we want to make sure I
just got done with one, as a matter of fact.
I just watched it on Twitch earlier, so I saw
you. How was that?
Oh, it was good. You fought Brutus Atwell.
Yeah, Brutus Atwell. Yeah.
Yeah, good match.
Thank you.
Well, to give a little background on that, I'm sorry, Dave. I just wanted, before we get into all that,
go right ahead.
Dave and I are like card carrying juggalos, like our entire life. And every event we wear an ICP shirt. We don't plan it, right? It's just This is the only
fucking happens, kind of.
It's the only shirts I own. And at the last event for RPW, I believe it was, we were both wearing our shirts. You came out, and the fans behind us were like, "Hey, is it a requirement for you guys to like Pondo because the Juggalo thing?" And we kind of laughed, and I was like, "No, Pondo's just a fucking shit, and this is the only shirts I own." So
it's so crazy that things get made up about Juggalos. You know, hey, since you're a Juggalo, do you do drugs? Hey, since you're a Juggalo, you know, do you like fat chicks? Do you only drink Faygo? Come on, guys. We're Juggalos. You know,
that's like that's it's like a weird like outlier thing, right? Because like I don't do drugs, right? I barely drink. I have a decent job with a tech company. You know, like if you look at like actually, I sent it to Dave when I first got hired in my like promo picture for my job. I'm wearing a Mr. Bones. Like,
oh, there you go.
And it's like a company photo because again, I don't own anything else. But sorry, go ahead, Dave. I think I know where you're going.
There's a couple things about the RPW show. So since you brought up the RPW show, we saw you in Fenton, and it was your first meeting with Neil Diamond Cutter.
Yeah. That wasn't RPW though. That was the ICW match.
Our RPW ran the following day. Am I correct?
Yeah,
about that?
I took on Mo Atlas.
Jesus Christ.
So that's the match that I want to bring up, but I do want to talk about the thing before. Francis and I are really ADD, so there's a bunch of things that we want to ask you about.
Dude, I'm fucked up in the head too, so all three of us are on the same level. We're good.
But before we even get to all that, I wanted to tell you that you were our first no ropes barbed wire match that we ever saw in person.
Oh, yeah?
You versus Akira at a JCW show.
Yeah.
And that was the very first time, like we had a checklist of things that we wanted to see in deathmatch, and we didn't kind of think that we were going to be able to see a lot of them in North America just because, you know, we didn't have access to those things, you know?
We thought we did.
I mean, we saw a couple of things here and there, you know, with like tube light bulbs and stuff, but the barbed wire and other things like, you know, betta butcher knives and, you know, gratuitous thumbtacks and some of the weirder things like the weed whacker, like we didn't think we'd get to see that. But yeah, you were our very first no rope barbed wire match. And in our intro for our show, there's a clip that I filmed of that match. So you're in our intro of our show.
Awesome.
Against the ropes, and Akira comes and nails you with tubes, and it's just such a fucking awesome hit and totally gruesome, but amazing. Thank you.
I think he drop kicked me, right? I had him up against my body, and he drop kicked me into the rope.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. But going to the night when you fought Mo Atlas, so
yeah,
I had to leave. And we've been talking about this for weeks. I'll just keep saying it just because it's funny. I got splattered with blood and I got pissed off and I went home.
Oh, yeah? Who splattered you?
Justin Kyle.
Oh, gotcha.
But I got over it really fast, and it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time, but it's funny now.
Right.
So I'm at home and I'm sitting on the couch and I get a text from Francis and he says, "Dog, I'm about to be sick." And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I think I just saw the most bloodiest match I've ever seen in my entire life."
That's right.
I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Pondo just used gusset plates on Hoodfoot." And he's like, and Hoodfoot's spraying like a sprinkler.
Yeah.
And he was like, he kept saying, he's like, "Dog, I'm about to be sick." He's like, "This is so fucked up." He's like, "I can't believe how much blood there is." So I ended up actually watching the match maybe like a week later. And 1 second he's not covered in blood. And the next second it's just blood fucking everywhere. I can't believe how bloody that match was.
To this day, I can't rewatch that match.
Yeah, give it up for Mo though. He's getting booked all over the place. You know, I mean, I was supposed to wrestle. Shit, who was I supposed to wrestle? Oh, I was supposed to. No, it wasn't supposed to be Mo Atlas. It was supposed to be somebody else. And it's supposed to be Bam Sullivan. And Bam Sullivan. Right. Yeah, Bam Sullivan didn't show. And me and Mo Atlas and the Carver was all three in. We had the same hotel room. And RPW's promoter, Christopher, however the fuck you say his last name, wrote me and said, "Hey, Bam's not going to make it." So I told Mo, I said, "Yo, you need to get on the promoter right now. Tell him that you're still here, and we can wrestle each other." And that happened, and I'm so glad we did, because now Mo is so hot in the deathmatch scene. I'm not saying that had anything to do with me. It was his choices of what he did, but shout out to Mo Atlas. I think he's going to be the next deathmatch star out there, along with Remington Roar. Have you guys heard of Remington Roar?
Yes, we have.
Mo Atlas and Remington Roar is my two breakout deathmatch star predictions for 2022.
I've been trying to reach out to Hoodfoot for like 2 weeks already, so I definitely want to talk to him.
We've all been trying to reach out to Hoodfoot. He's fucking lazy. He won't answer his damn phone.
You know, side note really quick, speaking of phones, because it's funny, I'm glad that you said that so I could bring this up. We were supposed to have Mickey Knuckles on Tuesday, and we were going to surprise her with Randy West. She was going to be on too. Randy's becoming one of our favorite guests. But Mickey said she had problems because she said you broke her phone, so she wasn't able to come on. But she kept bringing up, she's like, "Yeah, fucking Pondo broke my phone in the truck." She said it a bunch of times.
She's so full of shit. I didn't break her phone. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
That's hilarious. But so I wanted to ask you about something else from the night before, and I actually don't know this, but you came out for your match at the ICW Deathmatch Circus, and you were wearing a Daphne shirt.
Yes.
I love Daphne to death, and
me too.
She was the reason that I actually started watching wrestling again after like a 6-year hiatus. And when you came out, that got like a huge pop from me. My cat's named after Daphne. Just love the shit out of her. But I wanted to ask you about your connection with her. Did you know her?
I mean, oh yeah. Back in that piece of shit's promotion back in the day, she was dating CM Punk, and of course they would all be in there. Chris Hero and a bunch of them would be in there watching wrestling video cassettes, and I'd be in the kitchen, and Daphne would be in the kitchen. So we talked a lot, we got really close. And then every time she saw you, always big smile, respectfully, I'd try to shake her hand, and she would always tell me, no, I'm a hugger, and she always wanted a hug. She knows that I collect action figures. She gave me one of her action figures signed to the hardcore Frankenstein, Man Pondo, love you. Yeah, that's it. That's
I
it.
have her action figure right here on my desk.
And then some people told me, hey, man, Daphne's going off the rails. You need to go to her Facebook. And I did. I started hearing things that she was saying, and I still have the messages on my phone. I started writing her. I'm like, yo, call me, talk to me, talk to me about this. What's going on? And then there was no stopping it. Nobody was near enough. And yeah, man, but I didn't know it until last year, but I am also now diagnosed with anxiety and depression. And I don't like taking pills. I hate taking medicine. So I try to go without it as much as I can. But this is what I'm going to say about the whole Daphne thing. And if I would have known any signals, I would have done something. I would have said something. I would have reached out more. But like I told you guys, she was always the happiest girl, happiest person in the locker room, always smiling, always willing to help the girls out with things. So I want you to, I want everybody, if you have a friend that you haven't checked on in a while, do me a favor. Give them a call. Just say, hey, how you doing? Just the smallest gesture helps out with anxiety and depression, and it might even change a decision that has been made, like what Daphne made. So yeah, reach out to your friends and family and just say, hey, how's it going?
But wow, man, I don't even know what to say after that. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I was crushed when the whole thing happened, but ugh. Francis,
So,
do you want to?
Yeah, no, I'll take it from. Wow, yeah, no, bummer to hear. With your recent diagnosis is that what's playing? Because I know the last time you came into the ring, they made a big deal about your weight loss. Is that feeding into that? You trying to just stay in shape and drop some pounds?
No,
and stuff like
that? Me and Ricky Shane Page, people told us over the years, maybe not so much anymore, but over the years, people always told us how much we look alike. He wears his hat on backwards. I wear my hat on backwards. We got kind of the same face structure, but him and the rest of 44O got on a shoot interview for High Spots, and the other 44O guys started telling him he looked like me and stuff like that. And he made the statement saying, Pondo, I love you, but if I ever got as fat as Madman Pondo, I would want somebody to shoot me in the head. I was like, oh, here's my inspiration for losing weight. And we're friends. Don't look like that. It's okay. I make fun of him. He makes fun of me. We know. But that's when I decided to write him and bet him $100 by Mania weekend that I would lose more weight than he would. And he agreed. He's like, yeah, this will help me lose weight, and we'll get the people behind it. And I was like, yeah, that was my thinking too. So I was on an RPW show with him, and he came in drinking a Dr. Pepper, and I had a green tea, a Lipton green tea. I was like, all right, good sign so far. And then it takes me 2 trips to take my shit to the car, because I take my wrestling bag, and then I come back and I got a stop sign and a sledgehammer and a sawback. So the first trip, he saw me leave, right? And I put my stuff in the bag, and there was some fans outside that I talked to for a good 5-10 minutes. And then I walked back inside. He's got another soda. He's got a cheeseburger, and he's got potato skins. And I walked over. I said, "Hey, Ricky, what you eating?" He goes, "God damn it, I thought you left." I'm like, "Nah, I didn't leave." But
yeah, motherfucker.
So then we was on another show together, and I was like, "So Ricky, how much weight have you lost?" He goes, man, I've lost 20 pounds. And he was so proud of that. He goes, "What about you?" And I said, "Well, 44, you know." So here's the this is what you got to learn about me. If you make fun of me, you better be able to back that shit up, because I'll come back on you. And come April 4th, you know, you're going to be talking to Thicky Shane Page, not Ricky Shane Page. You know? Oh, I am not done with that, man. When I win that $100, the shit's going to come out of my mouth. I don't care, you know. He's going to want to hunt me down and shut me up. I got so much shit to say.
Are you doing like cardio, or are you making actual like dinner choice changes? And
yes, dinner choice changes. I'm trying to do no sugar, no carb. But I go off the rails every once in a while. That's the thing that I was told in the very beginning. 2 things that I was told in the very beginning. Do not beat yourself up with a diet. Otherwise, it becomes torture, and you don't want to do it, you know? So it took me a little bit, but you find things that taste good, that are low carb and no sugar. And then the second thing, and this is what happened the first time that I lost a bunch of weight, don't get on the scale every day. So I've been getting on the scale once a month. And so December the 7th, I was 351 pounds. January the 7th, I was 325 pounds. February 7th, I was 308 pounds.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And today I'm 297 pounds.
Oh my God. You got below 3. Holy shit, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. So Larry Legend was, he was noticing my weight loss, and finally he gets this little grin on his face, and he says, "How much did you weigh when December the 7th? I said 351. He goes, "How much you weighing now?" And that was when I was weighing 302 pounds. And he goes, "All right, we're going to tell the people out there." And it was such a good feeling when he did that, and the crowd cheered for my weight loss. You know, you're talking
I cheered
about
for that shit at home.
Yeah,
you're talking about at home, and when you said it, I was like, "Yeah,
yeah." You're talking about a crowd who wants to see beheadings and sausage coming out of people's stomachs and shit, but they cheered for my weight loss. It made me feel so good inside. And yeah, man, I don't plan on stopping. And people ask me all the time, "What's your goal weight?" I don't have a goal weight, but I do want to wear 2X t-shirts again, maybe even extra large t-shirts.
Oh shit.
And then at Universal Studios, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but there's this ride. It's a Harry Potter ride that I've been kicked off 3 times because the safety bar won't go down on my stomach. So 2X t-shirts for sure, and ride that ride again, and I'll be happy with my weight loss. Not so much a goal, but 2 goals, you know.
Those are phenomenal goals. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Man Pondo.
I don't know about. I don't think the belly's ever going to go away. The belly's always going to be there, but I can get the rest of the body going pretty small.
I love to hear it, man. I mean, we're bigger guys too, so that's why, like, man.
It hurt my pride to start wearing 3X shirts, but they fit better. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Well, you say you watched the last JCW show, correct?
Well, I watched Breyer's match, and I watched your match, and I haven't had time to see the rest of it.
All right. For years, I hadn't fit in those JCW jerseys, maybe 3 or 4 years. But you saw I had a JCW. my old JCW jersey on in that match.
Yes.
I was so stoked about that. I was like, hell yeah. This is a 3X Sergeant Slaughter t-shirt, and I have it on.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, it's so awesome. I love to see it. I'd love to hear it. It's so good. It's so inspirational. You know, like when that I wanted to ask that after, because I like David, I was hyped when I heard it. I was like, shit, Pondo's dropping pounds.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, this whole single since November 2019 fucking sucks. So it probably is hard for girls to look at me and say, oh, he looks good, you know. But maybe if I get some pounds down, maybe I won't be so fucking single all the time, which really fucks with you at night when you're just laying there by yourself, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the way it sounds, you're gonna roll into your 22nd gathering this summer,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
just fit as fuck,
right?
Oh yeah, Dave. So in doing this, Pondo's been at like every gathering and like wrestled at or actively wrestled, right? At most of them.
Yeah, every one of them. I've done something actively in the ring.
Wow.
I say actively in the ring because Mosh Pit Mike has been to all of them, but and yes, he was at the school, but a few of those years he didn't do anything in the ring. ICP has not done things actively in the ring every gathering of the Juggalos. Rude Boy, Too Tough Tony, none of them guys. This motherfucker right here is the only one. 22 gatherings have done something actively in the ring.
That's so awesome.
What's your favorite or best memory from the gathering? Because we've never been. Like, yeah. I know it's a
problem, right?
I just don't
you can imagine that I have seen some shit over 21 gatherings, you know.
Oh yeah.
But and here's the thing, what I was telling you, and this is the hardest part of being 52, scarred up, old, and fat, is I used to have girls coming up to me, asking me, hey, you want to fuck, and stuff like that. And it just doesn't happen anymore, and it just breaks your heart on the way home. Damn it. What the fuck did I do, you know? But let's see, my favorite gathering memory, it has to be when I wrestled Terry Funk for the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Belt. I won it off of him, you know. I mean, that was 2015. That has to be my highlight of the gatherings.
I figured that was either going to be that or your MC Hammer photo op.
You know what? The picture that I have now, that is a highlight, but the ass chewing that I got, definitely not a highlight at all. Not at all.
When I read that in the book, and this is something that I definitely want to touch upon, is it's just all the memories in your book. When I was reading that, what I loved about your book, and I'm gonna get to the thing I bookmarked right now because it was just so amazing, is everything I read in your book. I was like, holy shit, or no fucking way. And then you flip the page and there's a fucking picture.
Right.
He backs everything up with like some form of receipt, right? And right towards the end, and I'm just gonna get to it now because for me it stuck out. And I'm gonna paraphrase, but I definitely want to get all of it in there. Towards the end, there's Pondo's rules, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about rule number 4: never be afraid to ask for a picture.
Never. And here's the thing, man. Too many of our brothers are dying not to ask for a picture anymore. Like, I have a picture with Roddy Piper. I can't do that today. I have a picture with Corey Haim. I couldn't do that today. I have a picture with Anna Nicole Smith. You couldn't do that today. You know, anybody who ever asked me for a picture, my answer has never been no, because memories are memories, and not only just my memories, but other people's memories. I respect those as well. So I'm not saying that I'm no A-lister wrestler, but if somebody wants their picture with me, I've never said no.
and that's what, like, when I read that, as I was going through your book, I was like, where the fuck are all these pictures coming from, right? And then, like, literally towards the end, you get the Pondo's rules, and that's one of the rules. And one of the lines here was just, think of how fortunate you are to be in that position, right?
Right. Exactly.
And I was like, holy fuck, like this dude, like, for me, I was like, this dude's living it right? Because you've done a lot of cool shit, and you documented all of it. And you're able to share that, right? So early on, when you're like, once you're gone, you want that to kind of like live on and people remember you. And it's like, you've done such a good job at documenting all of it. And
well, not so much. I mean, I never had it written down, but it was all up here. And I told myself, well, John Cosper, the guy who wrote the book, put me in a small section in another book that he wrote called Bluegrass Brawlers, talking about Kentucky wrestling. Well, a whole bunch of people saw that I had a little chapter, a little couple of paragraphs in that book, and everybody kept telling him, "Man, you got to write a book about Man Pondo. He's done some amazing shit." So John Cosper kept asking me every time he saw him, saying, "Hey, whenever you're ready to make that book, I'm ready." Well, to me, I never thought that people would want to know shit that I had to say, but man, was I wrong. We have sold boxes and boxes of those books. So I'm glad that he kept on me, and I'm glad I finally said yes. And there's the finished project right there in Francis's hands. So I'm so glad that book got written, because 2 video games, a beer in Japan, a book. There's an action figure coming out pretty soon. So yeah, I'm doing the same guy who made Sick Nick Mondos and Necro Butcher just got done asking me about making one. So yeah, there will be a Pondo action figure before I broke.
Wow.
So about the figure, will it have Mr. Danger's gauntlets?
It would have to, because that's part of me. That's part of me, But yeah, if you saw the Sick Nick Mondo and the Necro Butcher figures, that guy's really got into detail. So I don't see those gauntlets not being a part of that.
Yeah, it was just, oh man, like I'll just keep saying it. Like, I don't read a lot. Like, this is probably the 10th book I've ever read in my life. And
yeah, you read 7 more books than I have. I read The Great Gatsby and Of Mice and Men in School because I had to, that was an assignment. And then I read my book because I had to, pre-read it or, make sure everything was right in there. 3 books. Everything else, Hustler magazine, Playboy magazine. I'm a magazine.
It's kind of funny that, like, the first book I remember fully reading was Mick Foley's, and the very last book that I probably will read in a while is yours. So Mick
Foley wrote about me in his book. I don't know if you remember that or not, but it's in there. Man. One of them, I don't know. He's wrote 4 or 5. But...
Yeah, it was his first one that I read.
Yeah, I was very young. That one. I was trying to place which one it is. I'm pretty sure it is that one.
I was very young. Like I was just, oh man, fuck.
There's a couple other things before we get to the end that I want to talk with you about. I definitely wanted to ask you about your weapon because it's so synonymous with you. Well, okay, so the bat with the saw blade is synonymous, but also the cinder block and the sledgehammer. When I see those come out, that's absolutely like a Pondo thing. And just by the way, before you talk about the bat with the saw, the cinder block and the sledgehammer, it always makes me cringe. It's frightening. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what it's for. That's what I'm going for. So I guess I'm doing a good job there.
I watch and then I look away just because I'm terrified. You know what I mean? But where'd you get the idea for the saw with the saw blade on the baseball bat?
So, Joey McDougal in Denver, Colorado has a deathmatch tournament called Slave to the Deathmatch. And I went there, and there was a red bat with a saw, you know, the blade painted red, but it had a screw in it to where it wouldn't turn.
Okay.
Right. So I asked everybody, does anybody have a screwdriver where I could take this screw out? And nobody had one. So I did use that bat, and then I was going to take it home with me and get that screw out and you know, use it the way that I use mine. Well, number one, I didn't have luggage that bat was going to fit in. And number two, the guy who made it, he wanted to take it home. So as soon as I got home, my buddy Fred Ferguson, I got a hold of him, and we at 4:00 at night, when I got back from Denver, Colorado, we made one. And we're talking about his saw is outside. So 3, 4 in the morning, we're like, you know, and there's neighbors and shit like that. And you know, we're pounding on things and shit like that. But yeah, so that's where that idea came from. And I just been taking it everywhere I go. And now I found a suitcase tall enough that if I take it apart, I can fit the bat in there, and it's mobile now. I can take that to every country that I go to now. And has so far.
Is that that can't possibly be the original one, is it?
Yeah, the one that I take with me everywhere is the original one.
Oh, is it really? Wow, so that's probably seen some serious action, because I've seen you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Gore fucking just about everybody in the entire industry up with that thing, you know?
Right.
At one point or another, somebody's gotten that.
Right.
Wow. Francis?
No, shit. This is, as you can tell, it's like it's very loosey, like all over the place format. There's just a ton
man,
of shit.
I'm all over the place, so you guys are doing great.
I want to ask about Girl Fight in IWA East Coast.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's talk Girl Fight. Like, you know, how, you know.
Let's talk Girl Fight. So, Girl Fight was created in 2013. Sarah Logan, Crazy Mary Dobson, whichever one you want to call her. Me and her had just started dating at that time. And number one, I wanted her to wrestle different girls than the same ones in the area that we lived in, because you can't get better unless you wrestle somebody better than you. So that was one motivation for Girl Fight. Another motivation was, you guys know girls. And they would go to Sarah and they would say some shit like, well, you know, such and such, she fucked my boyfriend. And then Sarah would be like, oh, that's a terrible fucking thing to do. So then that same girl that would get Sarah to say that would go somewhere else and say, can you believe Sarah said that this is about you, you know, and all this, you know, that whole sewing circle horse shit. So Girl Fight was created for Sarah Logan, so we could network, bring in good names for her to wrestle, and bring in names for her to, you know, introduce her to. And I would bring in my friends. I knew Kimberly, so I brought in Kimberly. I knew Amazing Kong. Go ahead. What?
Oh, I know. I was saying I love Kimberly too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing Kong. Me and Too Tough Tony, we would hang out with Amazing Kong in Japan, because the thing about it, that's where Amazing Kong got her training. But if you speak English and you're in Japan, all of a sudden you're good friends. So yeah, we hung out with Amazing Kong in Japan. I explained to her, hey, Sarah's my girl. Would you come in and work with her? You know, I mean, every favor that I ever earned off of so many promoters and all that shit, I used to get her farther and farther in wrestling. And then her 5th year, she was in NXT. And by her 6th year, she was in SmackDown and then Raw. and now she ain't nowhere. So ungrateful motherfucker, that crazy Mary Dobson.
I'm a huge fan of women's deathmatch wrestling in general. I know it's kind of starting to get a little bit more popularity, but for the longest time, it was pretty much just the guys doing it, you know?
Uh-huh. Well, she started doing it because she wanted to be the next Man Pondo, henceforth crazy Mary Dobson. And then she went to Japan and trained. And when she came back, she was a hell of a wrestler, right? So it was my idea. I told her, I said, you kind of need to stop doing these death matches and wrestle, you know, because you're good at it. And she was a hot little number, you know, and she would walk out with that hockey mask on, and then she'd pull it off, and there was a pretty girl underneath there that could do a split leg moonsault. Not a lot of girls can, you know. I mean, basically everything that I did wrong in the business, I taught her how to do right. And a lot of guys can say that they may, like I pulled Sarah out of a fucking backyard and took her all the way to where she was. And then once she got close to getting signed, she left me for another guy. So ungrateful motherfucker, that crazy Mary Dobson is.
Ugh. Yuck.
Oh, well, she's done, and I say ungrateful because she's done interviews and podcasts and never says the word Pondo at all. It's always, if she does mention me, it's always the guy who got me in wrestling, you know. She talks about how she saved her money and went to Japan. That's bullshit. She had some money. I had some money. Her friend Waffle had some money, but my mom gave her most of the money that got her to Japan. Just a whole bunch of shit that I could debunk, but I would just sound like a whiny bitch. So yeah, that crazy Mary Dobson is just an ungrateful motherfucker. We'll just leave it at that. While I shake my head at her.
Yeah, fuck that. You did bring, I think, arguably two of David's, you know, most recent like fanboying on into the deathmatch scene, right? Like Mickey Knuckles and Masada. And David just got introduced to Masada like what, a month or two ago?
So Pondo, I've been into wrestling, but I've been dipping my toes in deathmatch for, you know, I've followed a lot of things over the years, but I haven't been seriously, you know, obsessive about it since about 2018, you know? And yeah, I recently just discovered Masada. Just everybody in the entire world. Well, Masada and Jun Kasai. Everybody was telling me you have to see that. Like Neil Diamond Cutter got on my case. He was like, "You don't know Jun Kasai?" He's like, you got to check him out. So I spent this last weekend looking him up, you know, and watching. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of the bloodiest things that I've ever seen in my entire life.
But I was there for both of those developments. Big Japan would bring Masada over, and I was the Gaijin boss at the time, and he would dab into it a little bit, okay, but not as hard as what Big Japan would want him. And they sat me down and said, "We're so sorry, we're going to send Masada home." And I'm like, "What? Why?" And they explained, "Well, we want more death match." I said, "Okay, just give me some time," right? So I went and I told Masada, "Look, they're getting ready to send you home. You're going to have to do something, you know, do some more shit." And now that motherfucker takes baths in light tubes and fucking combs his hair with gusset plates and shit like that. Jun Kasai, yeah, I was there in his beginning too, and the goggles that he wears, you know, that he puts on his eyes. Even in the book, he'll tell you that I'm the one that said, "Hey, let's all wear goggles." Me and Mean Mitch Page and Jun Kasai, we was like a three-way tag there for a while, and we was the ones that told Kasai, hey, we bought you a pair of goggles too, so we could all three have goggles. And then next thing I know, he had a whole gimmick out of it. And he wrote about that in his book that I'm the one that helped him decide to wear those goggles.
Oh, wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
So one of the things that we have two questions pretty much that we ask everybody when we start getting closer to the end. This is a debate that we've kind of been having, but we start talking the Mount Rushmore of deathmatch.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your 4 picks that should be on the Mount Rushmore of deathmatch?
Just because I was so entertained by this guy when I was so much smaller, I say Bruiser Brody has to go on that.
I said Bruiser Brody the other day too. Holy fucking shit! Yes.
The legendary Funk Head has to go on there somewhere. I would think that Mr. Danger Masanaga's head would have to go on there, and to this day, I would consider him the grandfather of death matches. I think Onita's head would have to go on there. So Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk, Mr. Danger Masanaga, and Onita would be my Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
That's one of the. So you're probably like the first person that actually got to all 4. Everybody kind of like stops at 3 because they don't want to insult somebody.
I don't give a fuck. I'll insult all of them. I don't give a fuck.
But no, it's just your list, your Mount Rushmore is just so like classic, right? We've heard Necro like twice already, Necro Butcher, who definitely deserving on the spot. But that's a fucking solid list, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, impressive. Holy shit.
And then so one of the last things we like to kind of add, and there's just so much, like I'm just looking over my list, right? Like the 4 Corners of Pain stuff, Skull Talk.
Hold on. Before you go any farther, it's not the 4 Corners of Pain. Tell me where the pits are.
The 4, they're on the outside of the ring.
They're on the sides. That's right.
Yeah.
Back for NWA Dennis Carluzzo, I gave the idea for the 4 Sides of Pain match because that's where they are. They're on the sides.
Yes.
And that rotten piece of shit took it upon himself to say, I pitched the idea to Dennis. He liked it, but he didn't like the name. He wanted to call it the 4 Corners of Pain. And next thing I know, piece of shit is the innovator of the 4 Corners of Pain. Now, I've been trying to change everybody because it just sounds stupid saying 4 Corners of Pain. It's not in the corners. They're on the sides. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's perfectly fine. Like, that was something I wanted to...
That's so great.
That was just something I wanted to mention. And then, but Masters of Pain, right? I heard a recent interview that you did, and it's like the conscious decision to not live stream it, limit video, right, to get that buy-in. And I like personally, like, while I hated waiting to watch it, after I heard the explanation for it, I was like, this should make sense because it built more hype, right? Like when I was able to see it,
that's right, jumped man. On it. We hardcore our security. We told people they could take as many pictures as they wanted because pictures is the hype. You see a picture of somebody doing a moonsault into a pit of alligators, you're going to want to see that later, right? But if you see the whole clip of that guy doing a moonsault in a pit of alligators, you've already seen it. It doesn't help you out. It doesn't help the promoter out. And I didn't spend 1 penny on the Masters of Pain. Fat Ton, Michael Tawney did. So I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, we don't want to fucking stream. He goes, well, I mean, GCW and ICW, that's them. I don't give a fuck. And then we started getting hate for not streaming on the internet. He's like, some of these people just ain't going to get it. I'm like, trust me. They're going to tell you they're not going to get it, but they're going to fucking get it. Just trust me on this, right? So next thing I know, Fat Ton talked to somebody at IWTV, and he called me and he says, "You're gonna hate me, but we're gonna live stream it." I'm like, "All right, it's your money, whatever." But then when we got out to the Campbell's Creek skating rink, David Roy, who treats us great, there wasn't a strong enough internet out there to stream it anyway. Like a lot of people didn't even have phone service out there, more or less internet service. So I got my wish anyway, and we didn't stream it. We didn't let people take clips. And then Masters of Pain has been paid for 4 times. And we're talking about talent. We're talking about the materials. We're talking about the building. We're talking about the fucking pizzas that we got for the wrestlers. Masters of Pain have been paid for 4 times. Now, I get GCW and ICW, they want to stream it, but they get fucking thousands of 100,000s of views, where Masters of Pain does not, where maybe No Peace Underground does not, where maybe other companies don't. So yeah, even for Masters of Pain 2022, I'm sorry if we piss people off, but we are not streaming that thing, and that's why. Because 4 times, getting paid for 4 times, shit.
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I was like, when I was waiting for it, because I saw the lineup, right? Like Cologne, Raver, Schlack, Shane Mercer. I was like, yo, this is Akira. I was like, this is everybody I want to see. And then there was some confusion, I think, early on that I saw on the internet that I was like, it's going to be streaming. No, it's not. And then when it didn't stream, I started seeing all the comments. I was like, IWA EC stands for extreme censorship. And I was seeing all this shit. And I was like, what? Am I missing something? And then, like I said, it built up that anticipation, right? To the point, right, that like for Masters of Pain 2022, I was like, yo, I don't want to wait. Like, I want to go and see it live.
There you go. My fucking plan from day one right there. That's the thing, man. Like, the people who travel and pay for their tickets, they should be the first ones to get to see that shit. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it, man. And that's what I did. We got hated on a lot. So I pay attention to what people say. Trust me, I do. And a lot of people said John Wayne Murdoch's taking it all the way. Alex Colon's taking it all the way. Fucking G-Raver's taking it all the way. And the other one. Anyway, their 4 favorites eliminated first, and then it went down to the fucking finals, and it was Nolan Edward and Akira, the 2 youngest guys on the fucking planet. But I knew that they would be hungry and they would put on a fucking great match. And to this day, I hear barely any hate about 2021's Master of Pain. All I hear is how fucking awesome it was, how great it was, and how innovative the ideas were. And people who were there talked about how fast the cleanup was. We started right at 7 o'clock and got done by 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Wow.
A deathmatch tournament. So, yeah, people hated on it, but there was a reason that I let them hate on it, because I knew what I was going to do later on.
It fucking worked, right? Like that lineup. Yeah. And then like when I was able to finally see it, like Schlack and Mercer and like the matches up, and I had already been like a fan of Akira. So like seeing him go all the way to the end.
Right.
No, the shit worked, right? It aggravated me. I'm be like, yo, what the fuck is happening? For that 2 weeks or whatever it was, I was like, man, fuck this. But now I'm excited for it, right? Like I'm looking forward to 2022, right? I want to potentially go and see it live. Like I want to be there for it.
When are you aiming at to try and do the next one?
Probably the same, June 12th, 2022. The second Friday and Saturday of June is when we're slated, but we're still waiting. We want to go back to the same building, which is David Roy's skating rink, Skateland. in Campbell's Creek, West Virginia. Well, might as well be Charleston, West Virginia. But they don't know when they're closing the skating rink. They close it every summer. As soon as we get that confirmation, then we're getting ready to blurt it out and tell everybody, hey, make your plans for the 2022 Masters of Pain.
West Virginia's not all that far, Francis. You know,
I drove down there last year for that ICP show. So, but man, yeah. So that was number one here that I wanted to talk about. But something that we ask everybody as we kind of get to the end is, you've been wrestling 30 plus years.
32, yeah.
Seen it all, done it all. If you could,
I would think that I've seen it all, but you know what? Every year some new shit comes out. So,
fuck. Well, I mean, like if Pondo ain't doing it, does it matter?
Yeah, I like watching other. Dude, that shit that Jimmy Lloyd and G Raver did with that fucking glass bridge when they was up on that.
Oh yeah,
match of the fucking year, man, in my opinion.
Every year something new comes out. And I'm glad that in my 32 years I get to see it.
Yeah, that glass ceiling match is like, for me, in my opinion, like match of the year for last year. It's going to be like the top 5, in my personal opinion, right, matches that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I hear it.
The drama was up there. Big
another thing I'll mention: who thought Matt Cardona would be as influential, as great? And good heat and great matches and brave. Who would have thought Zack Ryder would be that in 2022? But
I'm impressed with his work and Chelsea too. I think they're both phenomenal right now and traveling like through different promotions and unbelievable. Because I would write him off. You know,
I challenge any promoter. Put me versus Matt Cardona. I promise you it'll be a good match. Put us in there with thumbtacks. Put us in there with whatever. I challenge Matt Cardona to a match right now.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Is this the second call out we had? Right? Like Neil called out Jun Kasai.
Oh
yeah. And Pondo's calling out Zack Ryder. What the fuck? But in your 32 years of wrestling, if you've seen a lot, you've done a lot. If you could go back to June 24th, the day of your first match, and give yourself June 24th, 1989, and give yourself any bit of advice over your long, 32 years of wrestling, what would it be?
Lift weights. Not that I ever had any problem with. It's all. I mean, for years I got hated on for, you don't look like a wrestler. And then the name Man Pondo came out, and I got a little popularity. And it was just like Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse. No matter where I went, everybody said, "Oh, you're Man Pondo? I thought you would be bigger." And then, it just kept going on and on and on. And then finally, I started landing in everything that I could think of. I was the first one to do the light tube log cabins, just all types of shit. And next thing I know, I got a little steam out of it. Still didn't lift weights. And other wrestlers will even tell you that over the years, it is amazing how many girls that I have had that are just fucking beautiful, I mean, you look at me and you would think that I would get the cross-eyed Tinder chicks, but no, I got fucking hot chicks all my life. But I think that I would have gotten even hotter chicks had I lift weights. But now, if you realize that there's a lot of muscle guys doing death matches, So death matches are at an all-time high right now. I got into them before social media was even a thing, So I mean, it was there, but it wasn't. Now you want to see what Slack did last Tuesday. in Elemental P Federation. All you got to do is type that in, and boom, there it is. I was part of a tape trading genre where a lot of people would hear about me, and then they would have to buy a videotape to even see what I looked like. So it was way difficult back then. And I'm even happy for the deathmatch workers of today that social media is so strong, and it helps them out to get their name out, because it was a fucking struggle, man, back in the day. But yeah, I would probably tell myself to lift weights and get my body in better shape.
Yeah, no,
you're unbelievable. That is, I never know what to expect, and it's always just a really really deep moment when we hear this kind of stuff from people, because so far I've been surprised by every single person that we've had on our show. Their answers have all been different and not what I would have expected at all.
I hear you.
So Pondo, are you, speaking of social media, you're active on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, Kevin Kennedy, Canady. I don't add a bunch of people though, because you never know who's doing it. But I would throw up a bloody picture of myself, and then Facebook would write me and saying that it was against their policy. Well, I know that can't be a fan of mine, because my fans know what the fuck I do. You know, my face gets all bloody. So for me to add somebody, I have to look at their friends and see if I have some of their friends. But normally I just don't add people, and then people will see me at shows and say, "Hey, I sent you a friend request," and I'm like, "Oh, I'll see it when I get home." But no, a lot of times I just don't add people because I don't want to get kicked off Facebook.
Oh, understood. I was going to put your Instagram or your Facebook up if you want, only if you want me to.
I don't care. Yeah. And, here's the thing about Instagram and Twitter. I'm not good at that shit. I'm not even the one that made them. Billy Stark's dad made them for me.
Oh,
I can't
really?
I can't even remember what the fucking passwords are. But so he made me an Instagram and a Twitter, and I thought it was something like Facebook. So I started writing people, and nobody was writing me back, and I was like, "You bunch of fucking assholes!" But I didn't know you had to put at the front of it, so I was writing to myself and didn't know it. So I'm just not good with this computer shit. So I just, but Facebook, I got that down pat. Hotmail, yes, I still have a Hotmail. I got that down pat. Well, PS4, I got that down pat. That's about as technical as I can go.
I'm gonna splash your Facebook over the screen right there. What? If anybody wants to look for Pondo.
Oh yeah, that Daddy Longlegs from Wolfpack had to make that for me. I didn't know how to fucking make that.
That's just about the fucking funniest thing in the entire world.
There you go. Wow. There you go.
Wow. No, so this has been like awesome, and there's still just so much shit. We got to have you back on if you would please. We want to talk movies.
Whenever you guys are ready, man. I'm so full of shit. I could talk all night long.
Maybe the next time we can talk a couple of specific matches or something, and find out what kind of music you're listening to, like Francis was saying, or something. Just, I mean,
you got a PS4. What's Pondo playing? Like,
right?
Just so many things. But anything you want to throw out there, Pondo, before we go?
Yeah, man. My buddy Corey Higdon started a web page specifically for deathmatch workers to sell their merchandise on. There's some, I think there's some Kasai shirts on there. There's Mr. Danger shirts on there, Slack shirts, Atticus Kogar shirts, but there's plenty of Man Pondo t-shirts on there. If you go to deathmatchworldwide.com, that's deathmatchworldwide.com. Alex Cologne t-shirts are on there. Just about any deathmatch worker that you could think of. There you go, deathmatch.
No, that says Death Worldwide.
Oh, excuse me. I'll fix it.
Deathmatch Worldwide.
Sorry.
Death Match Worldwide. Tell Corey Higdon that Pondo sent you. It's not like he's going to give you anything cheaper, but it might help me someday. You never know.
There we go. One more time. Yeah, I did check out the Pondo shirts. They're fucking awesome. Pondo,
thank you.
Holy shit. Such an amazing interview. I really appreciate it. And I think that's it.
Yeah, and usually what happens, because I do this all the time, is that Dave ends it recording, and then we talk to you for like 5 more minutes just to thank you. So,
all right, cool.
That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Pondo. See you next time.